Wow, you look fantastic out there. It looks like some intellectual nightclub. It's fantastic. I mean, I'm excited to be here. I think what HPE has done in bringing you together like this is truly extraordinary. I mean, the amount of diversity in this room, the opportunity you have to actually mix and exchange ideas with people that you've never even met before, people from completely different industries. But the time you have together is fleeting. Before you know it, you're going to be back working in the normal office environment, mixing with the people you always hang out with and surround yourselves with. We have a bias that the New York University professors call self-similarity principle. We just love to continually surround ourselves with people who reinforce our own views on the world, our own point of view, make us feel special. In fact, I came across a research study by our counterparts at Columbia University in New York. They wanted to see how people in business like yourselves mixed with other people from different backgrounds and industries. So they invited them to a cocktail party because they thought, well, this is where this mixing naturally happens. We're going to find a small room somewhere. We're going to throw everyone together and ply them with alcohol. I mean, magic's going to happen. Now, the stated objective for these people was pretty simple. They had to try and meet as many different people to expand their social network during the course of the party. Now, of course, they all said, yeah, no problem. I get out of my comfort zone all the time. I meet new people and mix ideas all the time. But the researchers, Paul Ingham and Michael Morris, were able to track every conversation that happened because they slipped a little RFID tag in everybody's name badge without them knowing. You're thinking about that name badge now, I know. What they found was the complete opposite happened. The bankers just hung out with the other bankers. The marketers just chit-chatted with the other marketers. The accountants somehow found the other accountants and started talking accounting, which always cracks me up because I can't imagine anybody else in the room really running to be in that conversation. But anyway, the researchers concluded, and this is in ink in the report, you can actually read this, that the only person that successfully achieved the objective of meeting as many different people from different industries as possible during the course of the party to expand their social network was the bartender. But if there's one thing we know about innovation, it's this mixing of ideas and perspectives in industries that actually has to happen. You have to expand past your boundaries. But I don't take it for granted that anyone in this room is sitting there motivated to innovate. I don't take it for granted that you're motivated to disrupt. I actually suspect you're sitting there with what I call innovation fatigue. So sick of being told you've got to disrupt and change everything up and replace it with something new. It's like, oh, please. It's just a management fad. I'm going to wait this one out, wait for the next one to come along. I even hear this phrase, which is, oh, Luke, we don't need any more ideas. We have already got more ideas and initiatives than we know how to execute. But when I actually ask to see all the ideas they've been pouring all their energy into and most of their financial capital, just about 100% of the time, the ideas are incremental ideas, so ideas that support the current business model, the current product, the current service, the current offering. And of course, it's easy to see why the incremental ideas are the only ones getting any traction in your businesses. Because if you've got to present an idea to somebody, if you're a leader and you've got to make a bet on which ideas to pursue, you're going to bet on the ideas that you think are the right ideas, the ones that are going to be successful. And the ideas that you think are going to be the right ideas and successful are the ones that track best with everything that's made you successful in the past, the ones you're most familiar with. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with success. It's what we're all aiming for, but the flip side of any success is that complacency sets in. And complacency is literally the most dangerous word for any organization because it leaves no room for possibility. Now, I don't know who this gentleman is. This guy is just the happiest guy I could find on the internet. And I like to keep this image in mind for an organisation, no matter what size, that's reached a certain level of success in the way they're operating and don't see the need for change. But of course, any organisation that is only embracing incremental change are getting themselves in an incredibly dangerous position because you're on a path that becomes narrower and narrower, and it's inevitable that at some point, no matter what your business, you're going to reach the end of this path where you cannot make any further incremental tweaks to your existing product, service, and business model. And by the time you do reach the end of this path, your customers have forsaken you for a new offering that nobody saw coming. And we see this cycle of disruption happen again and again. It's almost ridiculous. Blockbuster was a big disruptor in video rentals. Then two guys with this crazy idea to mail out DVDs, the little red envelopes, and eliminate late fees, pitched the idea to the leadership at Blockbuster. And of course, we all know what happened. Leadership at Blockbuster laughed them out of the boardroom, refused to buy them for $50 million. Said, we're Blockbuster. What do we need a little niche idea like this for? But of course, the very assets that Blockbuster thought were advantages turned out to be disadvantages and prevented them from seeing the future. The biggest barrier that I see to organisations trying to innovate is they're always trying to innovate around their existing asset base. The traditional entrepreneurs, the innovators, the disruptors are the outsiders that don't have those same set of assets. They're free, of course, to see something from a new perspective. So what are now your supportive assets can, in the blink of an eye, become your restrictive assets. Now, the only time an organisation does change, and you would have experienced this yourself, is when you're forced to, when you're backed into a corner and you have absolutely no other choice. We love management by crisis. If you've ever been in a crisis situation, it's amazing the energy that gets unlocked in the organisation. Money seems to fall from the sky. People and resources seem to open up. People that were too busy focused on what they were doing before to work on your project or initiative, all of a sudden they're available to respond to this competitive threat. I've noticed people like to talk about this dilemma in terms of Kodak or Polaroid. I bet everyone in this room has been in a conversation about Kodak or Polaroid before. The next time that you're talking about any of these companies, Blockbuster, Kodak or Polaroid, listen to the attitude that emerges from the participants in the conversation. I bet you'll find it's one of superiority through hindsight. Like, oh, those guys at Kodak were so stupid. Like, how on earth did they not see the future of digital photography coming? I mean, it was so obvious. I mean, I definitely saw it coming. I once heard the former CEO of Polaroid deliver a commencement speech, and he was asked this question with the same sort of attitude from one of the audience members, like, why couldn't you guys change? And he said, you know what, we knew we had to change. We had big conferences like this talking about change. We had consultants coming in to tell us we had to change. Even our customers were asking for change. But he used an analogy I've never forgotten, and that's of a car mechanic. He said, if you're a car mechanic, under no circumstances do you want to stick your hand into an engine that's running in order to change the fan belt? Now, of course, the metaphor is the engine that's running is your current business model. It's your value proposition. It's your current customer segments. It's the channels you use to reach them. It's the relationship you have with your customers. It's the key activities that you do as a business to deliver that value. It's the key resources you have at your disposal. It's the key partners and suppliers in your network. It's the cost structure. It's the revenue model. All these things are your existing engine that you've got to keep running. The fan belt is your mental model. It's the way you're thinking about all these ingredients and what needs to be there in order for you to be successful. Every organisation needs a portfolio of unconventional strategy options to balance out their portfolio of incremental strategy options. Ideas that might be inconsistent or in direct conflict with your existing direction and trajectory. Now, this has nothing to do with new technology. I'm not here to talk to you about how to get better and faster and more adaptive at spotting and reacting to new technology. The challenge for everyone in this room is how do you be the disruptive change? How do you take it on yourself to lead the disruptive change in your segment, category, and industry? How do you be the ones that take your segment, category, industry into a new direction? This is the difference between looking like this. If you're really going to lead disruptive change, it looks nothing like this. You've got to let go of the notion that this is meant to be a comfortable, happy process. You're really going to commit to leading disruptive change, being the disruptive change in your organisation, your industry. By definition, it's terrifying because you don't know what the answers are going to be. So everyone in the process looks far more like this. Now, who recognises this image? Raise your hands if you recognise this image. All right, where's it from? Psycho, right, which scene? The shower scene, right. Now, Alfred Hitchcock was one of the first directors in cinematic history to ever kill off his leading lady in the first third of the film. I mean, it was an idea suggested by his wife. It even shocked him. He's going, what? Do you know how much I'm paying her? You sure we have to kill her? So as a result, the audience was like, oh, well, you know, what just happened? Nobody can remember where this famous film started out, one of the most watched films in cinematic history. I mean, can anyone in this room remember where this film started out? I don't mean geography-wise, I mean in terms of story narrative. It's all right, guys, we've got time. What's that? She what? Something tells me if we gave you a microphone, you could give us a complete recap of the film. I know, that is impressive. I think you Googled it. No. Well done. So she was working in this real estate agency. Somebody came in to put a deposit on a building with $40,000 in cash. Now, she was carrying on with this fella there. They were about to elope and get married. Didn't even have enough money to get married. Dead broke. No one was in the office. She was entrusted to deposit the money. She thought, well, no one's going to miss it. So she shoved it into a suitcase, put the suitcase in the trunk of the car, and she was on the run. Started getting dark, started raining. No one was chasing her. She thinks I'm home free. Sees the Bates Motel, thinks I'm going to call in here for a nice, hot, relaxing shower. It's when she gets stabbed and killed. The audience is going, who killed her? Why did they kill her? They did not even know the suitcase of money was in the car. I mean, the fact that she actually stole money was really completely irrelevant to the storyline. Which means you are, where are you? Where was my... You are remarkable at paying attention to irrelevant information, which is this cornerstone to disruptive innovation, so well done. But Alfred Hitchcock was one of the pioneers of this technique. It's called a turning point. So a turning point has to catch the audience by surprise by delivering something completely unexpected, which sparks their curiosity. They cannot wait to see where this film is going next. But most importantly, a turning point changes the trajectory of the film. So if it started out as a caper film, she stole a suitcase of money, she's on the run, it's now turned into a thriller. He changed the genre. But turning points don't just exist in Hollywood or entertainment, they exist in business. Any successful innovator, entrepreneur, disruptor has been somebody who has created or discovered a turning point that's taken their segment, category, or industry in another direction. It's the difference between being good at prediction, and I'm not worried about anybody's ability in this room to be good at prediction. This is largely what got you into the room in the first place. This is what management and business expertise is about. This is still what we're teaching in a business school. How to take data from the past, extrapolate that to try and get a sense of what's going to be successful in the future. Sales forecasts, customer segmentation, financial modelling, it's all based off data of the past. There's far too much emphasis in today's organisations on getting better at prediction in a world where it's exponentially harder to predict, and far too little emphasis on deliberate provocation. Meaning, learning to take the ingredients that you have available, the same ingredients that most of your competitors and everyone else has available, taking those ingredients and finding a way to arrange them or rearrange them in a way that makes them more valuable. We define ideas as the recipes that you use to rearrange things to create new value and wealth. And that is what disruption and provocation is about. Now, this form of rearranging ingredients is what we call disruptive thinking. And like everything else, it has a process. This isn't about just having 1, 2, 3 gifted people and saying, right, we're betting the organisation on these people. Go and sit in a room and come up with an idea. This is a process that can be implemented by any organisation, enterprise represented in this room, no matter what size you are. This isn't just for the latest startups at Silicon Valley. In fact, at Silicon Valley, they're running around claiming the silicon has left the valley. Meaning, Every business is a technology business now. You want to open a shoe store, it's a technology business. You want to open a law practice, it's a technology business. Technology is just the baseline. It might be part of your solution at the end, but it's definitely not what you should start thinking about. So disruption's a process like anything else. You've got to ask a different question. You've got to turn that question into a market opportunity. You've got to use that opportunity to test out ideas. You've then got to turn those ideas into a viable practical solution through prototyping and experimentation. Then finally, you've got to convince others that you're expecting to make the change, that the advantages of making such a change are clear. This is where many organizations and disruptors or potential disruptors fall down. They expect people are going to embrace change just because it's new and innovative. This is the last reason anyone embraces change. Disruption for disruption's sake is just really annoying. It has to deliver value. Now, to convince anyone of that value, you have to be selling benefits and not novelty. And if you're a leader in an organization, you have to find a way to separate the motivation for people to actually contribute new ideas and new thinking to your organization from the actual value and utility of those ideas. Meaning, if your only way of motivating them to contribute new thinking is to implement those ideas, their motivation is going to drop very quickly because you can't possibly implement all the crazy disruptive ideas that you're coming up with. So every organization and business represented in this room has to find a way to reward effort and not result. There's never been a more exciting time for you to be here today, together, thinking about how to structure or restructure your businesses, your communities, and even people's lives in new ways to create value. Because the potential for reinvention, the potential for these turning points, it's all around you. So enjoy the possibilities this unique moment in history makes available to us. Thank you all. Privileged to spend time with you today.